Yes. You mentioned previously the Con of Wrath. So this is a documentary recounting the events of Ultimate Fantasy, particularly unsuccessful convention. And I was wondering, is your love of underdogs the motive uh, for
Yeah.
this documentary? I mean, why why should you spend so much time and effort describing the events of a somehow unsuccessful moment in Star Trek convention history?
Yeah. Well, well, that's an interesting way to put it. For one thing, not so much time because obviously the last year here we didn't do a whole lot on it. So a whole lot.
Okay.
But we're cranking up again right now. Actually, we're going to get back to Houston and shoot. For one thing, I was there. I was an eyewitness
Mm.
to this one, and it's about the convention. It's really not just this convention. It was a show,
Mhm.
and the fact that it was a simpler time. It was 1982, so there was no bloody A, B, C, or D. It was the original cast, and the original crew. Uh, the Wrath of Khan had just come out and kind of re-exploded Star Trek. So Star Trek was even more than the motion picture did. Was a hot, hot thing. And the fact that this was the first kind of out of the box idea. This was the first rock star show. Um, I mean, Trek conventions, media conventions, because Trek invented media conventions, not lit conventions like Worldcon and all the lit cons, but media conventions with actors, and TV world, writers and directors and makeup people and editors and visual effects people. So Star Trek invented that, and the first Star Trek convention wasn't until '72. So this was only 10 years in, and we didn't have social media. Long distance phone calls were still expensive. We didn't have cell phones and mobile phones. We didn't have video and digital technology. People barely had video cameras, home video. So that had only been affordable for 3 or 4 or 5 years. And we still had three basic network TV stations in the States, and not, cable TV was still pretty new. So life was simpler. Star Trek still hadn't exploded yet. It was just about to. So things were simpler. And and it was amazing how this was everyone from Hollywood in the movie, Harv Bennett and the whole cast, except for Leonard Nimoy, but not for trying, was a part of this. But it was the first. It was a simpler time. It was a gentler time. And I was a witness to it. And
One of the few.
one of the few. Yeah, well, a few hundred of us. And then also on the other end, 3, 4 years ago, I stumbled into the guy back home in Oklahoma City at the Dead Dog Party after SoonerCon 2010. Stumbled into a guy who was the tech director for the stage, and it reminded me of all this stuff. And I just had a light bulb go off over my head because I'd been wanting to do. I had not. I had wanted to do something besides just be a word guy. I'd been around Star Trek people for 10 years, media people. The world was starting to change, and I really felt like I'd started to do videos on my blog. I had done some videos for the Star Trek World Tour exhibition, but that got, the owners changed and we didn't do more with that. So I had all these startups that I was going to get a foot in that went away. And I thought this is something I can do myself and affordable. I had just met Roger Nygard that had worked on Trekkies and had done his own documentaries. I had been meeting people who were doing these low key, not big budget, do it on your own time frame, doable things. So it made a lot of sense to me. And I'm thinking, yeah, George would talk to me, Walter would talk to me, Harv Bennett would talk to me. So after I made sure that they would, and were excited about this, but the other thing was it was not just about the conventions, but about fandom and the world. And I realized when I was starting to feel like I was just a moldy oldie fan, and if there's not new Star Trek, or if I'm not part of JJ's inner circle, what good am I going to be for Star Trek anymore? And before I realized that we have so many new fans that don't know all the old stories, or don't know the way things felt or were or don't have the context of the way the world even 10 years ago the way they were. The world has changed so much just in 10 years. It's amazing. Much less 20 or 30, when I was a kid or when I worked at Paramount. So the very thing that say, like there'll I have something to give fandom in the world and pop culture. Part of it's always been also been not letting these things get away and disappear. And the story of the Con of Wrath is such a moment in time that anything I tell people now, I say, get your local fan group. Our bunch in Oklahoma City back home has got a lot of recorded history. And when I can, I look around the country, and if I talk to fan clubs anywhere or fandom, and they have some members who have been around, or if I find old fans, if I find veteran fans from the 60s or 70s or 80s, it's like, save your stuff,
Mm.
write it down, get on video, do blogs, do video, go find the local fans in your area now and share that with people. Get it recorded so we don't have. My friend George Pappy just did this documentary called The Green Girl about Susan Oliver, who played Vina in The Cage, right? And it was a great name, The Green Girl, because the world knows Susan Oliver. Not, Vina was many things. The Green Orion slave girl, the original one, was just one part of Vina, right? It wasn't the whole role. And Vina was just one part of this amazing actress who had this amazing life. And she, for 10 years, she was the biggest guest star on TV
Mm.
because she'd screwed herself when she broke her contract at Warner's, and she screwed herself kind of out of a movie career right before the contract system went away. But anyway, he did this great documentary, and already 4 or 5 of the people that he talked to have passed away.
Mhm.
And it's really a part of Hollywood, the 50s and 60s Hollywood movies and TV, and even into the 70s and 80s when she tried to become a director, and female directors were rare, and male crews gave them a bad time, and she was 10 years ahead of her time. So, but that once again is the thing about history goes away and it flies by faster than we know. And we think, history is not just, wars and battles and generals and politicians
Mhm.
and civil rights marchers, and that's all very important. But even the things that, I mean, you look at, I'm sorry, I'm going to rant here. You look at LeVar Burton and people being amazed that his Reading Rainbow Kickstarter drew in. But Reading Rainbow was a big part of people. It wasn't my generation, but the generation right after me. It was a big part of people's lives. A big part of my life was growing up with Captain Kangaroo and Mr. Rogers, and even half of me's generation, Sesame Street and all that.
Mm.
And you kind of, and you think TV and all, and MASH and Mary Tyler Moore and All in the Family and Bob Newhart and the dramas, Hill Street, whatever it was, and Star Trek, and you think, oh, that was just entertainment, but it was a big part of making people who they were. And how many Star Trek fans, how many people met their wives or their husbands at a convention? How many people met their bosses and made links for lifelong friendships and stuff. You can't dismiss things. So even saving that part of history is important. And my friend George is realizing that he wants to go do a documentary now about how Hollywood changed right at that time. But part of that's driven by those people, or we're losing those people, you
Mm.
know. It's like get and talk to them. Just like I hope people got their World War II generation documentaries done, because we're losing those people. My dad died 5 years ago now, and I'm glad I got him on tape talking about it. So, I didn't mean to turn this into a rant, but why do the Con of Wrath? It's about that event, and it will be about that event. But I'm trying to talk about also the crazy. It was kind of a wild west world in fandom and conventions, and about women in fandom, and this whole thing about, oh, we're in a geek girl revolution. Well, Star Trek was founded by women. Star Trek's fandom was women driven because of Spock and the Vulcans, and oh, I can turn you, Mr. Spock. You won't wait 7 years with me. I mean, there was this in-depth thing about, you look at all the early fandom leadership, and three-fourths of them were women. Conventions and fanzines and all the organizations like the Well Committee, Bijo and on down, and so that's one thing we talk about in this. And so there, did I answer your question?
I'm getting the impression that it is like exploring the then universe through the viewpoint of a starship that is the Con of Wrath convention. That's your viewpoint, and
Well,
it's the way
yeah,
through
yeah,
which you view the whole Star Trek fandom universe.
yeah. Maybe not quite that big. We're
Yeah.
going to
Okay.
we're still going to be about the weekend because there's plenty of stories to tell.
Okay.
But I want to. I think. But here's the thing: to tell that story about this event that happened before the internet, before because it's like watching an old movie now. You watch a black and white movie
Mhm.
and you think, and they can't get on the phone or the phone's dead, and you go, how would you tell this story if everybody in this movie had cell phones?
Mm.
You know, or these two guys got into a fight. If he just whipped out his smartphone and looked it up on Wikipedia,
Yeah, yeah.
or something. So it's like that. It's like I want to make sure that people seeing this now, this isn't just for people who are old enough to have been there. This is
Mhm.
for people, younger, because that's where the world is, and and I want to make sure people get the context. Like now stop and without, and I don't want people to go, now of course we didn't have the internet in those days, but to have a feeling, and not just technology, but the way things were, the way convention promoters were, the way licensing was, and the way Star Trek was in the world. There wasn't Big Bang Theory. It wasn't cool to be a fan necessarily.
Mm.
There are a lot of people that went, "Oh, these Trekkie kids," you know. So, so I want to make sure that there's enough of that so
Mhm.
people really, really get the impact of the story.
Right.
And because one of the questions we say was, "Could this happen?" I ask a lot of people, "Could this happen today?" Not so much could a thing blow up, because we've seen conventions and we've seen different genres. We've seen things blow up. But the magical thing about the Ultimate Fantasy was that it blew up, but still kept going.
Mm.
And not for just 4 or 5 hours, but they did the whole weekend program. And the actors and Harv Bennett decided that it was in their interest to do that.
Mhm.
I've seen lots of people go out of their way when a convention blew up, and I was at one notorious one, Fedcon USA in Dallas, Texas, where people made it go for about 8 hours. And the people that were there, the actors got to sell some pictures, the fans got to have some interaction, and they went from, about 6 hours on Saturday, and then everybody went home. And people were happy that happened, you know. So, but this was a case where they went with the original script the whole weekend, and what that did to everybody and everything, and what people took away from that, and what it did to Houston and fandom, and how, what the actors took away from it, and what the fans did, and what. So, but there's the big picture, and there's these just goofy in the moment things, the giant exploding burning rubber planet, and that fell on people, and or almost did. And anyway, so that's what it's about. It's about the big pictures and the little pictures too. So hopefully, because I don't want this just to be something that people see at Star Trek conventions. I want there to be a human element in it that transcends Star Trek. This may be a little hoity-toity and a little big for my britches, but I would love it to be something that we can show anywhere, and people get it. They don't have to be intimidated by the fact they're not a Star Trek fan. That it's the human nature comes through.
We're looking forward to watching it.
Oh, okay. Now
Anytime.
that's intimidating. Forget Blake McCoy.
So, Larry,
That's what's intimidating.
I'll intimidate you a little more. When do you think it will be ready?
Okay.
Oh.
In my mind, because this was always just going to be a very low key project, even before we lost. And I say lost, we did one 10-day shoot trip last year across Oklahoma and Texas. So it's not that we didn't get anything done last year. I just didn't get anything really hard work done. Um, I'm going to start aiming for 2016,
Mhm.
just to try to get into the 50th year hoopla, but not near the actual anniversary weekend. It'll be crazy. Any
All
the
right.
spotlight needs to be on the main events happening in September, August and September. But I would like to shoot for that. So we're trying to ramp up and get there. There's still some things I want to shoot, and we haven't begun to tackle editing. And the crazy thing is I've had some interesting, knock for Micah here. I've had some interesting sidebars pop up in relation to the Con of Wrath, but I have to get the main thing done first for that to happen. So yeah, there's incentive to get on with it, so yeah, I just need to get off my butt and get everybody going and do that. And I said we've never done a Kickstarter. We have a PayPal donation page. I had my friend Rusty gave in honor of prophecy. He took a screen used Klingon pad and made 20 of them as props, non-working, but Klingon modern 24th century Klingon pads. And I just sold the last one as a fundraiser. He donated them to me so I could turn around and sell them. And I just sold the last one at Vegas Con. So I've gone through but I've do my Dr. Trek show at conventions live. So if you ever have a chance and I'm at a convention, I'll probably do my Dr. Trek show as a crowdfunder meetup. You pay $20 and we do a 2-hour show where I have rare clips and I have clips from the video. I have Star Trek clips you've never seen before. We do trivia and prizes and have a good time. And you get me drunk and I tell stories I shouldn't tell and it's a good time. But that's a fundraiser, and people that do that get a screen credit. But you can also get a screen credit if you just go to the website. But again, it's very low key. I've got donors. I've got one big donor in particular, Bonnie from North Carolina, who was a survivor. And I'm still looking for fans. Not just the actors and the organizers, but I look for fans who were there. And I've gotten some of them on camera. I'm eventually next year going to put out a call for people to tape themselves and send it to me, and we'll just use it as is, knowing that it's from a fan. So so yeah, we just need to get off our butts and get going with it. And I've had one or two people talk about maybe funding a big chunk and being producers with me. I haven't thought about that. I've just tried to worry about the content, but then I have all the fun stuff about, and I have an editor and I have a cameraman, so I have the basic thing. But then I get the fun stuff of, do we do festivals? Do we do DVDs? Do we get it on TV? How do we play it in theaters? That's all fun stuff to come. So I'm just trying to get it done right now.
And you also said something before about a couple of other projects you're currently involved in. What are they about?
Oh, well, and I should say that's conofwrath.com and Con of Wrath on Facebook, if you can go and like those. Um, well, one thing is the Hollywood Sci-Fi Museum that I'm on the board of here in Hollywood that's taking off. It's not my project, but I support it. And there's another one that's about to be launched within the next week or two that's amazing, and it's very worldwide, called Enterprise in Space. We've been delayed on our launch just because we're trying to get our website worked up, but you can go to the Facebook page. This is an actual orbital space mission inspired by Star Trek and every other science fiction franchise, by the writers and actors and directors, but it's aimed at putting an actual orbiting craft in orbit for a week or two that has student science projects on it that were submitted and won through an outreach to science teachers. And it's also testing some space development, some space science. So it will actually be a small capsule that's put into orbit, orbits, does science, maybe 100 experiments, big and small, and then it returns, it's retrieved, and after all the science is offloaded, it goes on display somewhere. We have lots of corporations that are wanting to support that, but we also have a crowdfunder, but it's not Kickstarter or Indiegogo or anything. It's basically we just want 2 million people to send $20. And when you do that, you're a virtual crew member and your name goes on a chip that flies. And so when it's all retrieved back and it's on display, you can go see your name you can go up to the capsule and go into a reader and you can see your name from the chip and know that you flew in space. But you're also helping 100 science kids from kindergarten to graduate school fly their science project, and some actual space technology companies test some different technologies. And it's all very, very doable. It sounds crazy and whatever, but it's all existing technology. Um, Hopefully, we think it'll be a SpaceX booster. SpaceWorks do the capsule. I'm really going on a limb here because this is all. There's a team that's been working on this for 3 years. we're just on the they contacted me about being on their board of advisors and also helping to talk about it at conventions and with the fan base because this is for everybody. Everybody's excited about science and education and real space and anything that anybody that's been a dreamer from science fiction, that's been inspired by their whether it's Star Trek or anything or written, novels or whoever, their authors, their producers, anyone that's ever been inspired. Um, and the National Space Society here in the States, which is a space development, people that want to see us get into space and live in space, that Gene Roddenberry and Major were both on their board of advisors. They've just agreed to sponsor it. So that's really where we're now into the kickoff stage. So pay attention. The big news announcement will hopefully be here in the next week or two. It'll be worldwide. It won't just be an American thing. And I'm really thrilled to be a part of that. So, and I'll be talking at conventions the next 4 years. It's not scheduled to fly until 2018, so it'll be a 4-year project, 4-year process.
That sounds so great.
Yeah, and you guys just got a more extended sneak peek that I've probably talked about it anywhere. So,
We're honored.
but there's a very quiet little Facebook page called Enterprise in Space, but that's all about to explode in bigness. So if you want a sneak peek, you can go over and look at it over there. But even there, it's kind of guarded because we're saving the real big news for and the real details because there's a lot of hardcore stuff and we have a big outreach to teachers, science teachers, and that'll be we are going to train science. We're going to come up with curricula and send it to teachers. So it's really pulling several worlds together to do something that a lot of people think is a very cool idea. And one of the things is somebody says, don't you think it's time a real Enterprise finally flew in space? Because the Enterprise space shuttle, was just a test shuttle.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Well, you spoke of conventions. You are a frequent guest on many of them. But am I right to assume that our small pipe Greece convention was one of your favorites?
gosh, Dimitri, what am I supposed to say? No,
Oh,
you got me on the spot. No, of course, no. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. And you know, God bless Marina's memory. Unfortunately, no, that was one. It was beautiful. How could it not? I'm on the coast of Greece. How could it not be a beautiful, right down from a temple? No, that was an amazing week, and you guys were amazing. And no, I'll never forget it. It was incredible, and just being eating out and seeing Marina Sirtis back home with her people,
right.
having a tape of Marina singing the Greek national anthem in front of a panel. That's something you don't see everywhere. Um, but no, that was a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and you guys were amazing. And
Thank you.
yeah, until Fedcon this year in Germany, that was the last foreign convention that I got to do. So
All right.
no, that will always be very near and dear to my heart. And everybody there, they were great hosts. And yes, we got to do our tourist stuff in Athens, and we went to the Acropolis, and we went to all the places we were supposed to. But even just running around and learning about Greece and the Greek people firsthand, and that was right before a lot of the civil strife happened. So it
Mhm.
was it really gave a lot of insight to be there just months before some of those protests, blew up, and all the kind of downside of the news happened, and a lot of upset and unrest for people. But that's happened. As somebody had to sit in the States just now and watch everything unfolding in Ferguson, I know what that's like to sit and watch
Mm.
things happen in your own country that you're not happy about.
Mm.
But yeah, but oh no, so it's a great time, rosy time. Janet and I had a blast. We had a wonderful time and meeting that many and finding it you had black eyed peas in Greece. Who knew? Who knew you had black eyed peas? That's a southern thing. What do you mean? I just hope finally you can do something about the small pipes.
Well, we'll try, but we don't know how exactly. But we'll give it a try. We'll give it a
That's
shot.
a lot of digging. Unless you invent a transporter, you know.
Well, if we do get them bigger and we'll do another convention, will you come?
Yes.
You thought about it a lot. I didn't.
I think about it a whole 4 seconds. Yeah. Look, big pipes, small pipes, no matter what size the pipes. I'll be there. We'll be there. Of course. It would be lovely. It would be
We'll
wonderful.
be
Yeah.
more than happy to have you come here another time.
Look, look how much has happened since we were there the first time.
Right.
Yeah. Probably even things we didn't talk. What we've been on here for what, 4 hours?
Just
There's
about.
probably even things to talk about we haven't talked about here. So yeah. No, I'm totally kidding.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything we wanted to ask you, and
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm kidding. I hope people are still listening. Hope we haven't put anybody to sleep out there.
I
Um,
don't think so.
well, yeah, yeah. I'm just sitting here thinking. You were talking about the projects that I haven't done.
Mhm.
Um, those are two big things I mentioned, but I still have a thing that's going to be my personal. I don't have a name for it. I haven't begun to work on it, and I don't just mean my voiceover work that I'm doing, which is really not what fans can get behind until I actually have something to point to and say, "Hey, go buy this," or "Hey, watch this," which hopefully, God willing, will be fairly soon, not too many months and years down the road. But I do have something that's going to be my thing, and if people just, if they go and sign up at my at my LarryNemecek.com, you get on my newsletter, which I haven't done for 8 months, and I'm about to finally get back on. But my Trekland Facebook page, and the Con of Wrath has its own page too. But just be around and pay attention, and just watch. If you enjoy hearing my story, I have a friend, Chris Jones, who who does the Trek FM podcast, Family Empire, and he says that they gave me my own line on their iTunes page because in 3 years I've done about 30 of their shows. So he always says that a lot of those are very popular. So for whatever reason, hopefully you guys will get a lot of. How long have you been doing this show? Your show?
Uh, our show?
Yeah.
Well, it's the interviews, yeah. Yeah, well, no, I got it. But it must have
Couple
been
of
months. Yeah.
Oh,
A
okay.
couple of months,
Since
yeah.
since
Last couple of months. Yeah. Couple of months, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good luck. Continued good luck and good run and all that. And so I hope people hear this and maybe explore a little more beyond
Mhm.
what they may not have known. But uh, I just hope everybody. I hate to keep saying this because I had three goals this year. One didn't get sold. One is my voiceover, and one is this project. And almost as bad as last year, bad in a good way. I've had so many conventions and so many things happen that I haven't got to start on it yet. So I'm trying to get back to my original goal for the year and work on this project. And hopefully in the next few months we'll announce it, and it'll be Larry, and it will be Star Trek, and it will be, you know, everything about Trekland in a new way of doing it for fans. So I hopefully we'll get it developed. And I should mention Trekland on CD on speaker,
Right.
which just came out. So if you're a fan of the DS9 finale, it's Ira, Ron, Ira Bear, Ron D. Moore, um, Gary Hutzel, and Dan Curry from Visual Effects, all talking about the finale of DS9. But it's all my interviews with them from 1999 and 2000.
That's great.
So it's all fresh. So all my Trekland on speaker CD is, I mean, I could here. Hold on.
Oh my. That's a lot of stuff. Okay. Amazing.
I have about 8 boxes like that.
Wow.
So we're trying to get those off and digitized. And every year at the Las Vegas Con, I come out with a new CD it's an hour and 15 minutes. We cram a CD with a theme, and there's at least four people talking. So the first one is not available. It's going to be on download. But number two was about Next Generation's finale on the 20th anniversary, All Good Things. And that was Rick Colby and Michael Piller, both of whom passed away, and Ron and Brannon. And then this one is about the 15th anniversary for What You Leave Behind. So it's those guys. So anyway, and that's online at my site. If you go, you can click, and I'll mail to anybody around the world, foreign postage or whatever. So if you don't catch me live, but if you catch me live at a con, I'll have them. I'll have them with me
Right.
too. So I don't know how far afield your listeners go, but if anybody's in the UK or they're going to hop over to Destination London, it'll be a thrill to see them.
Great. Well, in fact, we do have some friends in London right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. So
Good.
maybe contacting you in person.
No friends in Greece, but there's friends in
No,
London.
many friends in Greece, but Destination London is in London, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on in Larryland right now, in Trekland, I should say.
Right.
Got to do the brand. Got to do the brand. Yeah, but this has been great to see you guys and
This has been
see
great.
you again, Dimitri, and meet you. So yeah, I hope it's what you wanted.
Yeah, well, it's exactly what we want.
Oh,
And more,
okay.
even more.
Even more. Okay.
Oh, well, great. Well, thanks for having me on.
Thank you
For
for
coming,
giving us
yeah.
your time and all this extremely valuable information and new information, things we didn't know. And so thank you again.
Okay.
This has been great. And
Have a nice day.
have a nice day there. Here's.
Okay.
I
That's it. What time is it for you?
don't know. What time is it right now?
Midnight.
Midnight.
Oh my goodness.
That's
Okay.
right. Midnight.
Okay. Well, it's 2 in the afternoon here. There.
Okay.
But anyway, thanks again for having me, and good luck with the show.
Thank
Good
you.
luck with
Thank
the
you very
podcast.
much. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
If you figure out something that we absolutely didn't talk about sometime down the line, I'll be happy to come back.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Bye.
So,
Good night, guys.
Good night.
ciao.